Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is my channel, Conor McGilligan, and today we're going to be looking at predictions for the weekend in the Championship. Yes, it feels like a massive weekend, doesn't it? And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Give me your predictions as well, which I'm really interested to hear. We're going to be getting onto it in this video. We're going to be going through every single game, and we're going to be getting onto the table outcome at the end of the video as well, which is always quite good. So I thought I'd go with the Championship World Football next. It's quite good in terms of predicting it. I'm going to give you a few reasons why I'm going through a few predictions and all that sort of stuff. So let's get into it, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. So for Coventry, Oxford, this is an interesting one. I think really impressed by Oxford this season. They've been excellent, but Norwich, obviously, aiming to close the gap on the playoff spaces. And to be honest, you actually look at the home record, and it's 3 wins in 17. 3 losses, I should say, in 17 for Norwich. So they've actually got a really good home record. And like last season with Norwich, they just seem to come into this phase where it's the back end of the season. And last season, they didn't deserve it, throughout the whole season. You look at it, you look at the form table, Wagner being there, him getting them into the playoffs. It was almost just a free hit. Let's see what happens. And obviously, they got beaten by Leeds United in the end. However, when you actually look at it, Norwich did really well to get into that playoff spot, and I think they might do it again. So I'm expecting one of those old Norwich City surges, which we normally get. So for this one, guys, I'm going to go with a 2-0 Norwich win on Friday night to start the weekend. Coventry City, Stoke City. For me, Coventry, I mean, they're absolutely flying at this moment in time, aren't they? They are absolutely flying. Winning 8 of their last 9 games, breaking into the top 6. Frank Lampard's done an absolutely unbelievable job, let's be honest, with each other. And Stoke have only boasted the 1 win in their last 6 games and only 3 away games won all season for the Potters. So I feel like it would be a bit ridiculous for me not to put a Cov win in here. So we're going to go with a big one. We're going to go with a massive one. We're going to go with a 4-1 Coventry win. Absolutely massive. Then we're moving on to another weekend fixture. It's Watford versus Millwall. For this one, it's going to be interesting to see what happens once again. Look, it's maybe a little bit tighter than people think. Millwall a little bit on and off form if we look at it. But once again, Watford overall have got a good home record this season. They're still in, I believe it's the top 7, top 8 for home records. Millwall's away form has been less than convincing if you look at their run of results as well. And it does favour the hosts for a win. A couple of Millwall injuries as well. Finn has one to keep an eye on. But I'm going to go for this one, a 2-0. 2-0. Watford win. Let us know in the comment section below what you guys think on that one. Bristol City, Hull City moving swiftly on. Now, Bristol City have had an excellent season. By their standards, we know a lot of time Bristol City just kind of meander into that position of sort of like, 13th to 15th. And it doesn't really do them any favours whatsoever. And it's been a really good season for them. At Ashton Gate, they've been insane this season. On the road, they've not been as convincing, but they've made it a real fortress. Some real memorable results there. So for this one, though, I'm looking at Hull City. I'm looking at Joe Gelhardt. Obviously getting his first goal. I wonder if he can now get into a little bit of form. You're looking at the overall picture at Hull City as well. A really important win, a massive win against Plymouth. And are they going to continue this trajectory? I think they're going to. And this is going to be my wild card for the weekend. I think Hull City are going to get a point at Ashton Gate, which might not be that wild cardy, but I think against a really strong Bristol City side at home, I think it'll be a really good result for them. So the next one, Burnley, obviously another big weekend for the Clarets. Now, up against Cardiff City, I thought Cardiff were actually really good and really unlucky not to get away with a point in that one. Salek was incredible. They had to bring Callum Robinson on earlier. For me, so influential in these games, and they had to bring him on earlier. They didn't do that. Callum Robinson remained on the bench, and I actually thought when he came on, you kind of had him combining with El Ghazi and Salek. I thought they looked really dangerous against Burnley side, who, defensively have been indestructible, really. So for this one, I'm looking at Burnley and them getting out of that sort of, game with 3 points, them scoring 4 against Sheffield Wednesday, them scoring another 2 as well against Hull City, who are getting a bit stronger this season. I think they will continue to get stronger, Hull City as well. They've got a decent squad. And overall, I actually think that I had a bit of a prediction that Hull might go down. I think they'll get out of it now, if I'm honest with you, and I think they'll do it comfortably. But for this one, Luton are just buried, aren't they? They're absolutely buried. I mean, you look at the Championship, if we just go down here right to the very bottom, I'm just not convinced. I'm just not convinced that they can pull out. The only thing is, maybe it's just that level of grit and determination that might get them out. But I think they've got to win this weekend because there is, Cardiff might go and do something at Sunderland. It is a little bit unlikely, but Cardiff might go and do something, especially if they replicate that form, that sort of performance that they had against Sunderland, against Burnley, I should say. But overall, I think you're going to get Luton losing this one. I just don't think they've got enough. I don't think they've got enough. And ultimately, I think they'll go down in this one. So if we just bring up the predictions once more, everybody, for this one, I'm going to go with a narrow not 2-11, but 2-1 Burnley win. The return of John Eustace to Blackburn Rovers. Now, if we look at Blackburn here as well, they are just on the periphery of the playoffs. They're on the exact same amount of points. This would be a massive win for Blackburn. Not only getting one over on their old manager who kind of got them into this predicament of, being challenging, but also when it comes to the playoff picture as well. Derby, on the other hand, have not looked great since Eustace has come in, and maybe he thought it was going to be a little bit of a better trajectory. I'm actually going to go with the Blackburn win here. I think they're going to come, and I think they're going to beat Derby, and I think Blackburn are going to be on the periphery of those playoffs and potentially get in the playoffs. They're sort of a bit of a wild card shout now. Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday. Plymouth were an absolute abomination against Hull City. You wonder where Muslich's side is looking now in terms of mentality. I'm not 100% sure. They've been much better at home this season. Very strong when you're looking at that sort of bottom 10, when you're looking at home form. Sheffield Wednesday have struggled on the road. I just don't know if there's enough in the tank for Wednesday here. And I think Plymouth are going to be resurgent after that loss, which, you look at the table right here, a win here takes them to 33. If Cardiff lose to Sunderland, they're within 3 points of getting out of that relegation zone if results go their way. For this one, guys, I'm actually going to go with a 2-0 Plymouth win. Sheffield United versus Preston. I think this is actually going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than people think. But once again, there's not that much to cover on this. I think Sheffield United will just have too much quality for me, and I think that quality naturally is going to come to the fore. They've got Tyrese Campbell who's fit and firing now. Gus Hamer's fit, Callum O'Hare's fit, Raksaki's available, I believe. They've got a lot going forward, and that is a lot for a team in 15th to contend with. I think Heckingbottom is going to go back to Sheffield United with a point to prove. This is a sort of club who got rid of him. He's going to want to come in. Point to prove. It's probably the game that when he started the season, or when he sort of came into Preston, he looked at that game and said, that's the one. That's the one I want to get a result in, sort of subconsciously. I'm going to go the 2-1 Sheffield United win for this one. Cardiff, Sunderland. As much as I loved Cardiff's performance, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a really tough one, in my opinion. However, even though Sunderland have shown significant progress this season, and Cardiff have struggled. Do you know what, guys? I'm going to surprise you, and the Sunderland fans in the chat are going to hate me. I'm actually going to go with a 2-1 Cardiff win. That is probably the wild card, let's be honest, of this pick. And the reason behind that is because I just think they were so impressive against Burnley. If they can sort of transcend that into this game, into a Sunderland team who, let's be honest, they know Sunderland are in that playoff structure now, aren't they? As long as they get a little bit of form towards the back end of the season, Enzo Lafay comes back, Sunderland will be absolutely fine, and they are a dark horse shout for the playoffs. But I just think right now mentality might be a little bit, a bit fraught with what's happened. So I'm going to go the 2-1 Cardiff win. That's probably the big one. Okay, we move on to Swansea versus Middlesbrough. An interesting one. Both have had fluctuating performance. A draw seems very plausible here as they both sort of seek some sort of consistency. We're going to go with a 1-1 there. And then we've got West Brom versus QPR, an interesting one here when it comes to the form table. Both will maybe think that they can still get into the playoffs. If we just take a little bit of a scroll down here, you've got obviously 44 points for QPR. It might be a little bit too far if they don't get all 3 points and beat West Bromwich Albion at this point. And that is a lot, isn't it? It's 8 points. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe QPR on the road haven't been as great as you'd expect. But look, if QPR are if their inconsistent form continues, I think West Brom will win this. They were very impressive against Leeds United last time out. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Brom win. I think that fully kicks QPR out of the race for the playoffs. And for Leeds United versus Portsmouth, I'm going to go with a 1-2 win. I think Portsmouth will be really good on the day, but overall, I think Leeds might just have a little bit too much quality. So if we just calculate the form at the table then, going into game week 36, this is how it lies. If we just blow that up there. So you've got Leeds United on top on 79, Sheffield United on 76, Burnley on 74, Sunderland on 65, which completely kneecaps them with the autos. But I think even if they win the sort of kneecaps with that, they'd still be, if Burnley win, 6 points behind them with a lesser goal difference as well. Coventry still sustaining their playoff push alongside West Bromwich, Albion, Blackburn and Bristol City still on the periphery here. We go down to the bottom. Plymouth closing the gap on Stoke City as Hull go to 37. Luton and Derby County, I think there's potential that they could be just completely cut off this weekend. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. They've been my predictions. Really appreciate your support. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.